I want to start by sharing one of the most vivid teenage memories. It's of my maths teacher throwing my algebra book outside of a second-story window. And in the time it took for that book to land on the ground, something inside of me collapsed. I felt crippling shame. And at that time, I didn't have the language or the support to process the shame. So my nervous system did what nervous systems do. It protected me. I became an angry and fearful young adult, rejecting the very thing I craved and needed the most: connection. Now, I stayed angry and fearful for 15 years. And it wasn't until one chilly October night that I had a conversation with my boss's wife. It wasn't so much her words that impacted me as the quality of her presence, her warmth, her patience, and her genuine desire to understand me. As a result, something inside of me settled, not mentally, biologically, and it changed the course of my life. I went back to school and decided to dedicate my life to understanding how the quality of the way we relate shapes not just who we are today, but who we're becoming. It was around the same time that I began to notice two things. One, that social media was the place that we were going to relate and to connect. And two, burnout, stress, disconnection, anxiety, depression, suicide, and self-harm was increasing. So I started to ask questions. Questions like, why are we more anxious and depressed than ever before? And are we truly connecting online? And how is it that disconnection has become so normal that threatening a human's life, verbally or physically, virtually or in real time, feels acceptable? Now, the answer came in the most unusual of places. A hair salon. Imagine this. I'm sitting in a chair, foils in my hair, looking in the mirror and watching behind me as the salon owner and a distressed client became two nervous systems in survival mode. The client was blaming and shaming. The owner was defending and attacking. Two people, both right, both wrong, both completely dysregulated and unable to hear each other. We see this everywhere. Boardrooms, classrooms, around kitchen tables, on social media, and in online chat groups. Anywhere human beings forget that the person in front of them, virtually or physically, has a nervous system too. Now, what happened in the salon next doesn't happen nearly enough in everyday life. Knowing the salon owner really well, I got up, foils still in my hair, walked over to the client and said, "Can you tell me, what's the one thing you really want the owner to hear right now?" Through tears, she said to me, "That I feel ugly." Something softened in the owner, and he came over and he said to the client, "Come on, let's fix this. I don't want you to feel ugly." Now, in that moment of joint regulation and relational repair, something happened not just in the present, but in the future. And it was in that moment that I suddenly realized we don't just have a mental health epidemic. We have a relational poverty epidemic, a breakdown in the space between people, driven by our inability to regulate, relate, and reconnect. Now, one of the challenges is that we're treating mental health as if it's a problem of the individual brain, to be treated in isolation, on our own. But if that is true, how is it that the US Surgeon General in 23-24 declared social isolation and disconnection as a national public health emergency? We see relational poverty everywhere. Our homes, our schools, and our organizations. We feel the weight of it. Thankfully, we can change it. Now, social media is overflowing at the moment with self-regulatory tools. Things like meditation, visualization, breathwork, cold plunges, exercise, humming, daylight. Many of you, like me, will have tried them in the hope that they will help reduce anxiety, help us feel calmer and more present. Now, in reality, they really do, if only for a moment, and usually when we're on our own. So the question becomes, why? Why is it so difficult to stay regulated when we come back into relationship? I think it's because we have forgotten something fundamental, and that is that the brain is a relational organ, and we are relational by nature. Now, neuroscience shows that human nervous systems are constantly tuning into each other. We feel calm when we're with somebody who's calm, because our physiology is literally shifting into alignment. This is how infants learn to regulate. It's how adults recover from stress. And it's how we update the emotional memories that we hold in our body and our brain through a process called memory reconsolidation. Now, memory reconsolidation requires a new, corrective, positive felt experience in present time. The philosopher Martin Buber understood this over a century ago when he described the relational space as the between. Thankfully, neuroscience is beginning to confirm his thinking. It is showing that we feel safe when the relational space is safe. Our bodies literally move out of threat state. Our heart rates slow, our amygdalas quieten, and our prefrontal cortex regains access to logic and nuance. That means we can think again, we can hear again, we can relate again, we can reconnect again. Without this, our nervous systems will protect us. And this shows up as defense, attack, withdrawal, disconnection, and dissociation. So, how can we relate and reconnect more effectively? The answer, the one that I believe will pull us out of survival mode, is building relational capacity. The ability to stay present, curious, and open, especially when it is relationally hard. Now, I see the cost of low relational capacity every single day. Let me give you an example. Not too long ago, a senior executive was referred to me, having been signed off sick for the 3rd time in 2 years. Each time, the medication helped, until he returned to work, at which point he became anxious, had panic attacks, and was unable to self-regulate, and was absolutely unable to stay in the space between him and his colleagues. Everyone said it was a problem inside of him. It wasn't. It was relational. It was only when I brought them together, regulated and open, that they could have honest conversations, they could hear each other clearly, and they could update the stories they had held about each other for years. Now, you and I see low relational capacity everywhere. Today, it shows up as difference being dangerous, feelings and opinions being treated as if they're truth, and disconnection being more normal than connection. I really think that building relational capacity is key to us changing this, because relational capacity is not sentimental, it is essential. It's what helps us build trust, not break it. It gives us the resilience to navigate uncertainty and change. It offers us the safety to have honest and robust conversations and to embrace diverse thinking rather than constantly defend our own. It also increases our adaptability in ourselves, each other, and the space between us. So, what do we do now? We put our faith in human beings, in the space between us, in the organic. AI can absolutely write, analyze, predict, and build. It cannot regulate and co-regulate human nervous systems. Co-regulation requires cues that only human nervous systems can offer, showing up in the form of facial expressions, micro-movements, tone of voice, and most importantly, in the synchronized neural rhythms that only occur between beings. AI can absolutely generate. It cannot create safety between people. In a world where AI is becoming increasingly capable, our true advantage lies in the quality of the way we relate. Because connection is not a luxury. It is a biological imperative. It is what soothes us, it is what strengthens us, and it's what brings out the best in us, individually and together. So as you leave here today, I hope this stays with you. Regulate. Not to escape your experiences, to lean into them. Relate. Turn towards each other, not away, especially when it is difficult relationally. Reconnect, because ruptures are inevitable, but repair is where we heal, grow, and change. If we can do these 3 things, even imperfectly, we change not only the quality of our relationships today, we change the quality of our relationships tomorrow. Because the future is not something that's out there. The future is right here, right now, between us. Thank you very much.